Yo, 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 what it do, what it be, it's your boy ANT repping the game, gang, you know we don't play none of that, all of that, bringing y'all some Street Fighter 6 gameplay, and today we gonna be talking about the top 10, at least my top 10 greatest quarterbacks of all time, and we only ended like 3-4 years of the 2020s, it's the 2023-2024 season, but quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are leaving their marks on the game, and they on pace to be on that top 5 greatest, quarterbacks of the decade list. But one quarterback, and it hurts me to say this as a Broncos fan, but Patrick Mahomes is on pace to not only be on that list, probably be number one, and I mean, he could potentially be on this greatest quarterbacks of all time list when it's all said and done. I mean, he could retire right now and be a Hall of Fame quarterback, first ballot. You feel me? So, I mean, he keeps going, and I mean, knock on wood, all that, that he won't, have some catastrophic injury or nothing crazy happens like that. But yeah, Patrick Mahomes gonna do his thing. Maybe if Lamar or Josh Allen can finally win the big one, then maybe we'll have to make some revisions to this list. But for now, as it stands, before we get into this season, these are my top 10 quarterbacks of all time, of all of the times, of all the decades, all that. I'm gonna count down from 10, but these could be really in any order. If y'all disagree or if yours looks different, let me know in the comments how's yours look. I'm always down to, see things from others' perspective, make an argument here and there. But, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn on the notifications so you can stay tuned on all the hot content I got dropping soon. But let's get right into it. Number 10, of course, I got Johnny Unitas. I mean, Johnny Unitas, the quintessential quarterback, really. I mean, he the blueprint when you're talking about how the game is played. Even if a quarterback isn't directly inspired from him, because, I mean, we don't have a lot of tape on Johnny Unitas. There's not a lot of film on him. And even if there is, it's not like in color or anything like that. But, I mean, just how the game is played and how the quarterback position is looked at today, Johnny Unitas is a big responsibility for that. You feel me? I mean, he won championships, like I said, before and after the merger. He held damn near every record when he retired, and without him, we don't get guys like Peyton Manning, Joe Montana, John Elway, just genius level quarterback, who could probably run their own offense, guys who a lot of the old school guys was trying to emulate Johnny Unitas, Terry Bradshaw, guys like that. But even the next guy, number 9, Roger Staubach. I mean, in my opinion, he saved Tom Landry's legacy in a sense. He one of the reasons why motherfuckers look at Tom Landry like we do as this big figure in football, because he didn't win nothing without Roger. I mean, when Roger retired, he didn't win nothing when he left, and then Jerry Jones bought the team, fired him, and then won 3 ships without him. So I mean, let's be real. Who made who? Just keep it on, because Roger called his own play too. He was of that Johnny Unitas cloth, if you will. Except he could actually scramble. He proved that scrambling quarterbacks could be dangerous. He won, I believe. Yeah, like I said, he got Landry 2 ships. And one of the big reasons why we look at the Cowboys how we do today as America's team, the most hated. But I mean, that was even before he was hated, because it's hard to hate Roger Staubach. I hate the Cowboys, but Roger the Dodger, man, that's a GOAT. What you mean? But yeah, so number 9, I got Roger Staubach. Number 8, I got Drew Brees. I mean, he probably would be higher if he had more rings, maybe an MVP. But him throwing for 5,000 yards 4 times. Again, I'm always 5,000 yards 4 times. And I think on the other video I said no other quarterback did that twice. No other quarterback did that more than once. And we will never see another quarterback throw for 5,000 yards. Maybe. But that's, 4 times? That and he got that touchdown throwing streak. We might see that broken, but again, it's going to take somebody special. And it's not like we don't got some special QBs up and coming in this league. So, it's going to be interesting to see who moves up and who moves down on this list through the decades, But yeah, the lack of rings and an MVP really held down Drew Brees. But, the lack of rings also held down this next guy, number 7, Aaron Rodgers. He probably the greatest thrower of the football of all time, best arm talent, arguably. But underachieved for all that talent, you might say. He won hella MVPs regular season, won the Super Bowl MVP when he won it. But he had home field advantage the last 2 seasons in Green Bay, managed to choke those away. And so, he got stats and awards and longevity and all that, but he only got 1 Super Bowl to show for it. Maybe if he takes the Jets and does some like Joe Namath shit and calls his shot and wins the Super Bowl, guarantees it, we might have to, like I said, we might have to revise this list. But as it stands now, Aaron Rodgers, number 7. Number 6, I got Troy Aikman. And look, he got the worst stats on this list. I'm just without looking. I just know. Maybe Roger and Johnny Unitas got worse stats because they played in an era where at the time throwing wasn't as relevant or in any of that. But Aikman played in the 90s when you got guys like Elway and shit slinging the rock. And maybe if he had better stats or even maybe 1 regular season MVP, he might be higher. I think he's kind of high just as it stands, but that's neither here nor there. But he got Emmitt Smith running behind arguably the greatest O-line of all time. So you ain't really got to sling it like Sammy Baugh or nothing. He almost in the top 5 just based off of those 3 rings with one of the greatest teams of all time, offense and defense. And that's kind of why I put Brett Favre ahead of him at number 5. To me, he's a better quarterback than Aikman. Won 4 MVPs. Only got 1 ring. But, he's top 5 in every category you could think of: pass yards, completions, pass touchdowns. He was number 1 in all those and QB ones when he retired. So, Brett Favre was killing shit. Granted, a lot of that was just longevity, but that's, damn, that's not a bad thing to play a long time, you feel me? Plus, he never really had the team that Aikman did. Never had a guy like Deion Sanders on his defense, that's for damn sure. But, just his work with the Packers alone. And then you add into the fact that he almost had the opportunity. He had the opportunity to take the Vikings to a Super Bowl as a 40-year-old man. If AP don't fumble, they arguably go to the Super Bowl instead of Drew Brees and the Saints, and who knows how that shakes out. Brett Favre versus Peyton Manning in a Super Bowl, Drew Brees and Peyton was cold enough. We still talk about it, but either way, who knows what could have been. But Brett Favre may move down on this list depending on how it goes, but for right now, he's my top 5 at 5. And number 4, I got John Elway, who won 2 Super Bowls with, 6th rounders and undrafted guys on offense, and a really, good to great defense. But he was a consistent Super Bowl contender. And those 2 rings that he got at the end make up for getting blown out in the other 3 or 4. But If he wins any of those other 3 or 4, he might be top 3. But probably not, because number 3 is Peyton Manning, who also lost a couple Super Bowls. He even got blown out in one as well. But to me, Peyton is the smartest quarterback of all time. And he made guys like Brandon Stokely, Austin Collie, and Eric Decker look good, which I know how hard that must have been. Plus, he won a Super Bowl with a broken freaking neck, word to Kurt Angle. So, I mean, that's number 4 and number 3 right there. I mean, kind of threw both of those in together. They both played for the Broncos, so, I'm kind of not really biased, because if I was biased, it would be higher. They would be 2-1, but they not, because, I mean, I got to look at it from an unbiased kind of angle, and if we keeping it 100, I mean, like I said, they both got Super Bowl blowouts. Not just L's, not just close, losses or nothing. No. Peyton got blown out in 1. Elway got blown out in, I want to say 2, maybe 3. I know for sure he got blown out by the Niners and the Redskins, but I mean, still great. Like I said, I mean, Rod Smith, I think, was undrafted. Terrell Davis, undrafted. Shannon Sharp, 6th rounder. And I mean, look at that. 2 out of 3 of those guys, Hall of Fame, along with Elway. I mean, Atwater and them boys was doing their thing with Trevor Price, Al Wilson too. But again, the L's really hurt both of them. So, yeah, speaking of the Niners, though, number 2 is that man, Smoking Joe Montana. And I mean, undefeated in Super Bowls. Never picked off in a Super Bowl. 4-time Super Bowl champ with 3 Super Bowl MVPs, 2 regular season MVPs. His stats aren't really astronomical even for his time, but he put up good to great numbers year in, year out. You knew if you had Joe Montana leading your team, you had a shot to make the playoffs. You make the playoffs, you got a shot to make the bowl. 'Cause anything can happen on any given Sunday. You feel me? But, and not to mention, like I said, he won. Joe Montana won a lot. So, again, dominated the 80s. Number 2, Smoking Joe. And I mean, number 1, it's no secret. It's Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. Shout out Skip Bayless. 3-time regular season MVP, son. 7-time Super Bowl champion. I ain't even gonna repeat all that. 5 Super Bowl MVPs. And number 1 in every all-time passing stat right now, as we speak, going into this season. He the GOAT. Greatest quarterback of all time. Is he the smartest? Probably not. No offense. With all due respect. Respectfully, But is he the strongest? No. He might be the hardest working quarterback of all time, though. He won a Super Bowl with 2 different teams. Anything anybody did on this list, Brady did it twice. Probably did it better. I mean, sure, Montana is perfect in Super Bowls. Never. It's kind of like the Jordan LeBron argument in this case, except I mean, obviously, Braun didn't win more than Jordan, but I digress. Tom Brady has the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history. Some shit we will never see. Probably not in my lifetime, at least. Who knows? Maybe never again. That would be tough to come back from the deficit he was in, and it would take another boneheaded coach like the Falcons head coach. What is it? Is it Kyle Shanahan? Blew that shit? Maybe that's just the Niners. There is somebody that's on the Niners now, but yeah, blew the fuck out that shit. But yeah, we might never see that again in our lifetime. But again, Joe Montana, he was never down like that in a Super Bowl. He was dominating. So it's all about, context and all that and what you think is more impressive. But just me getting to witness that, I didn't get to watch none of Joe Montana. I watched Tom Brady come back in the Super Bowl. I called it. I was telling motherfuckers in the fourth quarter, like, Tom Brady still has a chance. There's a lot of football left. Like, especially with Bill Belichick's defense and all that, you know, getting to Matt Ryan and pressuring him, and them not running the ball. It's some shit. It's storybook history shit, you know? It's like American mythology almost, but it really fucking happened. You know? So not only does he lead the greatest Super Bowl quarterback of all time, he wins a Super Bowl in 3 different decades. I mean, he got the longevity, he got the stats, awards, winning when it matters most. I mean, the quarterback is the most important position in sports, period. And Brady won the most when it mattered the most. And I mean, there's a stat out there. I think I've seen somebody tweet. There's a troll on Twitter that be, you know, trying to discredit Brady, which is cool. I mean, Tom Brady ain't got to be everybody's GOAT. But he makes the claim that, oh, well, Tom Brady, you know, he's only 6-7 when he doesn't have a top 10 defense in the playoffs. Look up how many quarterbacks have won a Super Bowl that haven't had a top 10 scoring defense. It's only been 4. Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, and Eli Manning twice. It's only happened 4 times in the last, I don't know how many years. But yeah, defense still wins championships. Don't get me wrong. Oh, no. Eli Manning did it twice, but Joe Flacco also did it. For all the credit that Ravens defense gets and all that, Joe Flacco did it without a top 10 scoring defense. For all the credit that Ray Lewis and Ed Reed get, don't let me forget about Joe Flacco, even though he was fucking trash on the Broncos, you know. But I mean, TB12 is the greatest quarterback to ever play football. Back to my main point. And even me, I once called him the greatest system quarterback of all time. Rob Parker called him the luckiest quarterback of all time. But Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback to ever play football. Let me repeat that. And don't be surprised if we never see his 9 Super Bowl visits by a single player repeated or bested. Don't be surprised. Patrick Mahomes getting 7 rings, despite how great he's looking right now. I mean, even that seems like almost impossible from right now, you know. But that's my top 10 greatest quarterbacks of all time. And if you're wondering how I got this top 10, I got my top 5 quarterbacks through each decade on this channel too. Go ahead and check those out. I'll leave a little link in the description for that. I'm gonna start a little playlist for them since I'm done with this first season. I'm definitely gonna do some more like greatest wide receivers, you know, greatest NBA player, greatest, you know, all that shit. And yeah, those top 5 videos were the kind of the baseline I used for this top 10. And like I said, if y'all's top 10 looks different, leave a comment, you know, maybe leave a like, dislike. I don't know. I'm all for the engagement. But, you know, let me see what y'all top 10 look like. Since y'all want to discredit mine. No, I'm just playing. But subscribe and turn on notifications so y'all can stay tuned on all the hot content I got dropping soon. Y'all, it's been your boy, A.N.T. Repping the GAME, that's the game gang. You know we don't play. Actually, we're about to do some little gameplay commentary right now. Classic, this little E-Honda. See, I've been trying to put in that work. I grinded right now. I was Iron 3 right now. I'm like Bronze 1 with Honda. I'm like Bronze 2 or 3 with Zangief. See, and I couldn't tell if bro was trying to footsie or if he was trying to teabag. I kind of took that personally. I'm not gonna lie. So I started slapping him up a little bit. I was like, oh yeah. Okay, hit me with the little drive rush. Got the little clutch block. Come on, get over here. Hit you with that Ocho, throw that Ocho Cinco throw. You feel me? Oh, and then she did the perfect little parry type shit right there. Had to hit her, run up on her again with that yeah. You feel me? But yeah, y'all be safe. Don't get smoked. I'm out. Peace.